الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلتك. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. لبيك داعي الله، إن كان لم يجبك بدني عند استغاثتك ولساني عند استنصارك، فقد أجابك سمعي وقلبي وبصري. لبيك يا حسين. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. رسالة الله الصلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
In the love of the master of the martyrs, Imam Hussein, recite the second love salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
The third love salawat and the love of his mother, Lady Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
Over 1,300 years ago, a battle took place in a desolate land that bears no historical significance prior to the war. Between two groups, a small group of less than 100 men and a large, monstrous army of over 33,000 armed men. When the war erupted, it only took the monstrous army half a day to annihilate the small group, to obliterate the small group. The small group, although they were mythically defiant, but the obvious happened. They suffered a crushing military defeat. After they were killed, their bodies were mutilated, disfigured, beheaded. And then the commander of the big army ordered 10 horsemen that had replaced the horseshoes with new sharp ones to stomp over the bodies, causing every rib to break and to sever the limbs. After that incident, they began beating the drums of victory. They began dancing and clapping and rejoicing and celebrating and drinking alcohol till the morning. Only a day later, they severed the heads, placing them on long spears. And then they paraded the women and children. They killed all the men, sparing one life, the life of Imam Ali ibn Hussein. And at that moment, Imam Hussein had many children. All of his children were killed, with the exception of Imam Zainab. The Umayyads and the Marwanis had over 13,000 children lying in golden cradle in the city of Sham, modern-day Syria. Imam Hussein had only Imam Zainab. They paraded the women folks and the children in a humiliating display in all the prominent cities. starting with Kufa, ending with Sham. So that all the Muslims around the world would celebrate and take part in the celebration for Hussein's martyr and Hussein's death. As the caravan of the Sabaya were departing the city of Karbala, Imam Zayn al-Abidin was gazing upon the slain, the dead bodies. He was overwhelmed with sorrow and grief. And he was trembling and shivering. He was about to surrender his soul and die. Lady Zaynab, whose sole role was to protect Imam Zayn al-Abidin and the children, said to him, Ya ibn akhi, O nephew, ma li araka tajubu bi nafsi? Why do I see you in this state? Trembling, shivering, what's going on? He said, Aunt Zaynab, what do you expect from me? These are the bodies of my brothers, my uncles, and my father Hussein lying like this on the same news as Karbala, and you expect me not to grieve, not to cry, not to shiver, not to tremble? He said, Ibn Akhi, O nephew, you shouldn't be concerned a lot. إِنَّهُ عَهْدٌ عَهِدَهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. It is a promise that was made by the messenger of God. To whom? To your grandfather Ali. My father, the master of the believers. That a standard will be raised on the burial site of your father Hussein. That will never be uprooted. That will never be wiped out. That can never be effaced until Judgment Day. وَلَيَجْتَهِدَنَّ أئمة الكفر وأشياء الضلال على محو اسمه وطمس ذكره ولا يزداد مع الأيام إلا غرورا. And the tyrants and despots and the leaders of disbelief will try to wipe out the name of your father, but the more they try, the more they exert the effort, the more the name of Hussein will glow and will sparkle. This is a promise that was made by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is how the war ended, and a black chapter in the history of mankind ended only to start a new chapter. Suddenly Hussein became the source of inspiration for all the oppressed ones. And that's why all the rulers had to fight the name of Hussein. Had to fight the grave of Hussein. Did you know the grave of Hussein was demolished 17 times throughout the course of history? They even tried to flood the grave of the Mawla. They tried to change the course of the river Euphrates to flood the grave of the Mawla, so that no one would be able to sit there and lament or even recite Surah Al-Fatiha. For 200 or 300 years, people couldn't visit the grave of the Mawla. And if they wanted to visit Imam Hussein, no one knew the directions. There was no tombstone, nothing that directs people to the grave. That's why they had to pass the directions. Generations after generations pass it on. And if a person wanted to visit the Mawla,